When people started suggesting I rank every Bloons game, I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. I knew there were 6 mainline tower defense games, I've heard of the Adventure Time spin-off, and I knew the first couple Bloons games were balloon popping puzzle games. So what, 10 games? 15 games? 45 games! Obviously, some are much more impactful to the series than others, but even if I spent a single minute on every game here, it would take forever to rank these things. A very popular video on the full history of Bloons is nearly 3 hours long, and trust me, my video will not be the same. As a bit of a newcomer to the series, I definitely learned a lot from that video, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who's curious. But that guy focused very heavily on the most recent games in the series, he missed a couple of the smaller releases, he actually knew what he was talking about unlike me, and most importantly, he did not rank them as he went. So I'm throwing my hat into the ring and ranking every Bloons game, and yes, I do mean all of them. There have been some console ports and mobile releases that I won't be counting as separate titles though, which seems fair to me. I'll probably try to mention them still and anything notable about them as we go. So 45 games is really more like 32 games. If I'm being honest, I don't even understand where that number came from and how many ports or updated releases count towards that total. I hope to achieve a good balance of everything you like to see, making sure to keep the overall fan favorites in mind regardless of my personal opinions. Anyways, this intro has been pretty long already, so if you're itching to get into it, then I encourage you to skip ahead. But if you want a quick glimpse of every game in the series, or want to hear me say the word Bloons 33 times, then our list of games for today are Bloons, More Bloons, Bloons Player Pack 1, Bloons Tower Defense, Bloons Player Pack 2, Bloons Tower Defense 2, Bloons Player Pack 3, Even More Bloons, Bloons Pop 3, Bloons Player Pack 4, Bloons Tower Defense 3, Hot Air Bloon, Bloons Player Pack 5, Bloons Junior, Bloons Insanity, Bloons TD 4, Bloons Festive Fun, Bloons Super Monkey, Bloons Blast, Bloons 2, Bloons 2 Christmas Pack, Bloons 2 Spring Fling, Who Wants to Be a Bloonionaire, Bloons TD 5, Bloons TD Battles, Bloons Super Monkey 2, Bloons Monkey City, Bloons TD 6, Bloons Adventure Time TD, Bloons Pop, Bloons TD Battles 2, and Bloons Card Storm. Without further ado, let's find out which game had the best monkeys, and which ones would only be played by some meth head junkies. Start playing RP Grand on any smartphone in just a couple of minutes for free. The map in this game is huge, and everyone here does whatever they want. You can go out with friends, or just mess around as you please. Also, new players get a free car. You can earn the car of your dreams and customize it however you'd like. You can create a family and earn a bunch of money to spend on fun activities, or you can join a family by searching. Join your real life friends and family to play with you in game. You can be a bandit, police officer, business person, or governor. Enter the promo code Jake Miller to get extra bonuses right after registration. I'll see you all in game. After the hit game Cash Sprint, where players could win actual money, our favorite New Zealand brothers Stephen and Chris Harris created the site ninjakiwi.com, getting to work on a series of flash games for the page. If you knew what you were doing, flash games were pretty quick and easy to make, so Ninja Kiwi was really able to pump out game after game. 1 game a week was the goal, on top of raising their children and working other jobs on top of that. They were quite literally throwing every idea at the wall and seeing what stuck. So Bloons fans everywhere can thank Steven's wife for the series coming into existence. They were looking for a fun game idea, and she suggested something like the balloon popping carnival games you play at the fair. While this wasn't the exact type of gameplay we'd see in its release, the very first Bloons title was clearly based on that idea. Why a monkey was chosen as a playable character, I genuinely don't know. I think it was just a random choice. Who knew they'd be making so many more games with this little monkey? Until recently, I had no clue that there were games before the first tower defense one. I'm pretty much learning about this game's history in real time through this video, which should be fun for me and my wonderful viewers at home. Anyways, this is a very straightforward flash game. In each level, you have a limited amount of darts to pop as many balloons as you can, and different obstacles and balloon types are added as you go. Ninja Kiwi has really conveniently released a free archive of all the classic flash games on Steam. If only every developer put that much care into preserving the history of their series. But thanks to this, we can clearly see we have a ton of balloon popping action ahead of us, so let's not dwell on the first one too much longer. I decided since it's the first game ever, I should probably beat the whole thing, and I definitely started to regret that decision. I didn't realize that there were 50 levels. The first 10 or so levels are just nice, easygoing balloon popping fun, but when they added the ice balloons and bouncy pads, that's when it starts to get frustrating. The bouncing just doesn't make sense. It feels like the dart will go in a completely random direction on each bounce. Some levels generally don't work. On level 30, the obvious answer isn't good enough. so instead you launch darts into this tiny little corner until it blows up for you. What is nice is that the level quickly restarts after each loss, so you can just try again and again to beat it. I'm gonna assume the games will get better as we go, but this wasn't that bad. Let's start with a D tier. Less than a month after the first Bloons, we got more Bloons. Basically Bloons 2, except they actually made a Bloons 2, so I guess I have no choice but to actually call this thing more Bloons. I can't lie, the name is pretty freaking accurate. They didn't change the graphics even a little, it's just one new balloon type and 50 more levels. This game is weirdly Star Wars themed. The new balloon is a double-sided lightsaber, and there's a level straight up called the Death Star, and another one called Dagobah. Ninja Kiwi should consider themselves lucky Disney hasn't sued yet. It was going pretty well, so I was planning to just beat all 50 levels again, but then I got stuck on this stupid boomerang level where you can only miss one balloon. It's bullcrap, man! Anyways, this is literally just more Bloons, so another D tier it is. After 2 freaking Bloons games, the creators were already sick of making levels for it. But with such a big success in their hands, they knew they couldn't just give up on it. These people are straight up geniuses though, creating a website for players to make their own Bloons levels titled Bloons World. That is so smart. Every single level-based franchise should have done the same thing. The website was up for 7 years, from 2007 to 2014, and in that time users created over 3.8 million levels. Now, if you've ever played Super Mario Maker, then you know 99% of those were children placing random objects on the screen. But that 1% of levels were so good that Ninja Kiwi got jealous and just started putting them out as new game releases. Again, such a big brain move. There were 5 player packs made, and a couple more outside of that still using levels from Bloons World. The players would get their username immortalized in a Bloons game forever. Ninja Kiwi could keep pumping out Bloons games with only the best levels, and that basically makes for the biggest win-win scenario for everyone involved. Except me! There's no new objects, the levels range from rate this to a 10 out of 10 to make 5 perfectly precise shots in a row without failing! There were definitely some creative and unique challenges I liked. Who doesn't want a beer pong level? Is what I'd say if it didn't make me quit this game. You have to make 3 perfect shots in a row! I know there's an option for unlimited darts, but I consider that cheating. Maybe the problem was I wasn't drunk while attempting this one. I wish I was, trust me. It's definitely a bad sign that there are 4 more player packs to go. Let's welcome our first F tier. Now that random fans of the game were doing most of the work for their series, Ninja Kiwi is given the opportunity to work on more experiences for the Bloons franchise. I really wanted to find an answer to why they chose a tower defense game as their first spin-off. The only thing I can think of is in their catalog of games, they'd already made tower defense games in the past, so maybe they thought it would be easy or they enjoyed the gameplay style. Now, it is a great thing I'm playing these in order so I can slowly learn how to play these freaky games as we go. This one could not be more bare bones. There is 1 map, 1 difficulty, 5 monkeys, and a whole lot of balloons. Wait a second, that's not a monkey! I guess they're really going for the whole tower thing in the early days, as even a living being is somehow considered a tower. But it's fun that they were able to incorporate a dart-throwing monkey from the series roots into this game, but now we have a few additions. You can upgrade each of these, usually for more powerful hits and a bigger range. The problem is, other than the dart tower, how am I ever going to be able to afford any of these other towers? I saved up for the tack tower and it sucked and then I died! Even a noob like me could see that the dart monkey is infinitely better than these overpriced ones. But I am here to review the game in full, so I guess I gotta work hard and unlock some of these other ones. Or, an even better idea, buy 1 tack tower, hold down enter to spend money I don't have, and use this OP tower to win the game. It does take a while, but eventually you break even on money and can start buying stuff again. The bomb one does seem pretty good, but it is quite slow of course. Once I made it to level 40, I thought, well, I've got the Super Monkey, a few bombs and ice towers, I think I'm set. And I lost immediately. My placement was definitely horrible, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I kinda assumed getting the Super Monkey was just an instant win button. That thing cost me $4,000! So I went back to the drawing board and did what I should have done from the beginning. Oops, all monkeys. It's actually crazy just how well this works. You don't even have to upgrade them. Just spamming monkeys on the screen is all you have to do, and most rounds of Bloons won't even make it past the first section. No strategies, no careful planning, just spam. I got so much money I didn't need, I bought a Super Monkey for fun. You can buy whatever you want now, this defense is untouchable. I finally got through rounds with the white Bloons, the toughest ones in the game. And those last 5 waves are pretty scary honestly, but I was confident. Probably because I put another glitch tack tower at the end just in case. But it was never used! I beat this game! twice! I've seen everything there is to see. And man, I thought it was pretty fun. For a long period of my time, I didn't really understand the hype around Bloons. I would try it and get pretty bored of it. But through making videos on these games, I slowly started to understand. Spamming those monkeys made me feel so powerful. And even though there was no challenge to it whatsoever, I found myself wanting to see it through. I wanted to make this unstoppable army get to the end. I am worried as the games get more complicated, it'll start to lose me, but for how simple this game is, I ended up really liking it. The game is so easy to break though, I love placing monkeys on the road. I know it only gets better, so let's give it a C tier. But Bloons Tower Defense is just a spin-off and nothing more. It's about time we get another mainline game, am I right? Player Pack 2 is here. Let's hope I like these levels a bit more than the last. Well, I'm sure they'll be delighted to know it's only insanely difficult levels this time around. There are a few creative ones still, but they mostly just demand you to be perfect. This bouncing one nearly broke me though. I finally got through it, only to find an even worse level. I had to look up a walkthrough and it still took 10 minutes to beat. None of these levels are fun ideas or anything, it's just making 5 super-sized shots in a row every single time! F tier! Thank God, I am so ready to have another tower defense game. The sequel came out only 2 months after the first. They're ready to get the sub-series rolling. Just like the main series, the graphics did not change even a little. I think it would have been so funny if they called this game more Bloons Tower Defense instead. I figured I'd shoot for the normal difficulty right out the gate. I'm basically a pro at this now, right? The first thing I noticed was the price differences. Dart monkeys were a little more expensive and the others were a tiny bit cheaper. I think that was a great move as I'm using the tack tower and cannon much more often now. Especially because a new lead balloon is added, forcing you to have cannons on stage. There's also a rainbow balloon which will return in future games. I firmly believe that the ice tower is useless. But I also immediately brought out the brand new monkey, the boomerang monkey. Not only a great reference to the original game, but a fun new tower. They also added 2 new temporary items, road spikes and monkey glue. The road spikes are pretty great. They're cheap and easy to lean back on if your defenses are still a bit weak. I like to hold them at the end in case some balloons are close to slipping through. Anyways, I absolutely lost normal mode. I went to easy next, and I believe it's only easier because the track loops around so much, you can hit balloons in 3 different spots with the right placement. The price of everything goes up a little bit in each difficulty too, and there's probably more balloons, who knows. I was doing pretty good and was waiting to try the new Super Monkey laser vision upgrade, so I was mostly just writing the script and letting it play. Then I looked down and saw the horror that was about to transpire. I attempted to get a few spikes down, but it wasn't enough. I lost on easy mode, dude! Again, to be fair, I was saving my money to buy an upgrade. I definitely had the resources to be fine, but I got greedy. I eventually beat easy mode, and in order to do so I had to spam road spikes. But medium and hard difficulty? I am a loser, man. I just can't figure it out. I sort of just do fine until the last 10 waves and then I get brutally destroyed. So I put one of those tack shirts at the end just to guarantee my victory and make myself feel better. It is really cool to have 2 paths in hard mode, but that's definitely what makes it so dang tough. I tried watching a step-by-step guide to beating it and I still failed. Skill issue for sure. This is a very bad sign because we are only 2 games in, so I may be watching some tutorials for Bloons TD 3, we'll see. I think they made some great improvements to the tower defense series. This definitely feels more like an update than a new release, but I enjoyed the new towers, maps, and balloons. And yes, you can still put monkeys on the road and all your favorite exploits from the first one. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it more than the first though, so although it definitely is better, it's still going in C tier. Just for context, those last 6 games all released from March 2007 to the end of the year. They were going hard and weren't slowing down anytime soon. Right away in January 2008, we got the 3rd Bloons player pack. Whoopee! It's no surprise by now that I don't enjoy these. I do think there were some better concepts here than the second, so far the worst of the player packs by far, but half the levels here were made by this Bomberito 85 guy, and the levels aren't even good! I like this Pac-Man one, that's about it. Until some new mechanics are introduced, you're not going higher than F tier, deal with it. Finally, Ninja Kiwi made their own new Bloon game titled Even More Bloons. This means we can actually get some new stuff here, and so far, I prefer the official stuff to the player-made ones anyways. There's a lot of new stuff right away, most notably the rainbow balloons from Tower Defense 2. You gotta break their jars and hit them before they float off screen. There's also angled blocks, leading to much crazier bounce action. But better than new ideas is fixing the old ones. You can see the power and angle of your last shot, and you can press R to reset a level, allowing you to keep the positioning of your mouse. These are really great and necessary changes. Most levels are the new rainbow balloons, and it can be fun, but also super tough. I am just glad that there's something new to explore in these levels now. This game doesn't demand absolute perfection at every single level like the player packs do. Sure, the more challenging ones require those shots, but at least you can play the first 20 levels or so and enjoy yourself. New concepts, quality of life improvements, generally fun level design, and much less strict requirements for success make for the best Bloons popping game so far. I'm not going to be boring and put all these games in D and F tier, so take this with a little grain of salt, but C tier. I don't know why Ninja Kiwi thought this wouldn't be misleading in any way, but they made a match 3 game and called it Bloons Pop 3. Think of the poor kids who must have went searching for Bloons Pop 1 and 2 and never found them. But hey, this is a long video, right? Finally we can sum up an entire game and where it should be ranked in just one sentence. It's a match 3 game. F tier. Now that there's some new stuff to use, it actually makes sense to make yet another player pack. And thankfully, I'm happy to report they chose actually fun levels this time. So many great ideas in just the first 20 levels. One was a puzzle level with an insane opening shot, and another you shoot between 2 towers of bombs and wait for the perfect time to hit the rising rainbow balloon at the top. And even ones with extremely precise shots that took me tons and tons of attempts, I didn't really hate and felt were totally achievable. Except the one I ended on. I think I have to be really quick to hit the bomb, but I tried it countless times and I just can't get it. But there were so many examples of levels I thought were going to be impossible at first glance, but I managed to beat really quickly, even on my first try sometimes. I personally had the most fun in this game out of any of these so far, so I'm going to have to say B tier. If any of these go higher, I'd be very surprised. Look, I know you're all mad I put a crappy game over the first 2 tower defense games. Would it make you feel any better if we ranked the 3rd game now? That's right, just 1 year after the previous entry, Bloons Tower Defense 3 released. And man, we got a lot to do. 8 new maps, each with 3 levels of difficulty. Each tower returns with a couple of new ones, and a lot more upgrades. Before you just sort of gave them an upgrade and call it quits. That one upgrade leads to another, allowing you to make the best version of each one. For example, the blade shooter is apparently very good, just slicing through layers like no one's business. Monkeys can throw razor blades now, if only there were some trick-or-treating kids around here. The cannon has a completely new look, and upgrading creates a missile launcher. Obviously, by the time we get to Bloons TD 6, we'll all laugh at how cute these little small upgrade paths were. The road items return and are so much more convenient to get out there, and there's even a new pineapple. It takes a few seconds to explode, so timing its placement can really save you some life and money. And what's this? Top secret? Didn't know Bloons was doing ARGs now. The new towers are Spike-a-Pult and the Monkey Beacon. The Spike one is really just a stronger monkey, with little spike balls that tear through lines of balloons the best. There's now an option to make your towers aim at the first balloon it sees or the last, which is most helpful for this guy, I think. His upgrades make the ball go further and shoot 3 at a time. And then there's the Monkey Beacon, with the ability to increase the range and attack power of monkeys nearby. Upgrading this one unlocks the top secret ability, the Super Monkey Storm. It feels like cheating, but basically if you're rich in this game, you're never going to lose a round ever again. Every balloon on screen is instantly white, making those last few waves a cakewalk. These brand new shit balloons don't stand a chance! Except, that's not the only new balloon, is it? Bloons Tower Defense 3 introduced the world to the one and only Moab, short for Motherball Bloons. It's a reference to the Motherball bombs from real life. So wait, that thing's a bomb? No, of course it's a blimp, the biggest kind of balloon you can get. These things are tanks, and the worst part is they can't be stopped by a Super Monkey Storm. However, thanks to stuff like the plasma fission for the Super Monkey, you can make easy work of these things. The maps are pretty different too. They discovered MS Paint and let their kids squiggle some lines on the screen. It makes for very different map layouts than before, so I'm not complaining. They attempted to add some texture and detail too, and I'm sure in 2008 this was a quality looking Flash game. But nowadays I'd prefer a more flat look personally. So yeah, I played on all the maps, but I definitely didn't win on all the maps. They basically get more difficult as you go, and some have multiple paths like the hardest map in the last game. You can also play past level 50 now and all the way until 150 if you're feeling confident. I really like how different each one feels, not only because they each have a unique theme and color scheme, but the shape of each one is so distinct. Like this perfectly round one here is really tough to figure out. I think this monkey shaped one was my personal favorite new map. During this game's popularity, a company actually trademarked the name Tower Defense, which was a big problem for not only Bloons, but the insane amount of Tower Defense Flash games out there. If you ever wondered why the series is called Bloons TD, it's because they legally aren't allowed to say Tower Defense anymore. That's nuts. In my humble opinion, it feels like this game changed from spamming a lot of monkeys to upgrading a few decent towers. Focusing your money on upgrading rather than a quantity of towers is personally so much more appealing to me. You can, of course, still spam your heart's content. I recommend the blade shooter if you're planning to do so. I never really used the dart monkeys in this one, which is a big change up from the last 2 games. My biggest complaint is that there's a lot of attacks I just seem to miss sometimes, and having an unreliable attacker in a game like this is definitely not good. But yeah, despite this game mostly looking identical to the last 2, they've really started to evolve this thing, and I can only imagine how much bigger these games are going to get from here. I really enjoy this one. It's the best game on our list so far, and that means A tier. They're not quite ready to quit pumping out little spin-offs though. That's how we get abominations like Hot Air Bloon. There are so many Flash games in this Flappy Bird style, and Bloons barely takes their own spin on it. By popping Bloons, you earn points. Somehow this monkey's hitched a ride on a Moab, which is impressive in and of itself. But the blimp is the only thing that can pop Bloons. The monkey doesn't even have a hitbox. I guess that means you can drag him through the tree line all you want. What happens when you die is really funny to me, I don't know why. It truly feels like Ninja Kiwi sat down and wrote out a list of every game that they could cram monkeys and Bloon popping into. And somehow the list became Tower Defense, Match 3, and Hot Air Bloon. Which doesn't even make sense as a name because it's a blimp and nothing about this is hot. F tier. The last player pack ever released at the end of 2008. Even our favorite monkeys helping us get into the Christmas spirit. In September. Almost every level is focused more on making the shape and color of something Christmas themed and not even remotely attempting to make a fun level. It's extremely easy because of this though, so that's nice. So many do the same thing though. After you see Santa's sleigh for the 4th time, you kinda lose interest. And this level's just a snowball? Why would they even pick this one? And don't even get me started on the nightmare fueling Grinch. Our last pack has the opposite problem from the others, where the levels aren't hard at all, but it results in the same way. It's just not fun. F tier. Oh yeah, remember when I said that was the last player pack? Just kidding, there's actually 2 more back to back. These games were the only things Bloons fans had for 11 months. Don't worry, 2009 did see the release of Bloons TD 4, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Ninja Kiwi knew their audience consisted of 2 demographics, babies and masochists, so why not cater to them both? Let's start with the babies, since that's the group I personally relate to the most, and their game was called Bloons Junior. It feels like a 50 level tutorial, barely making use of the tougher mechanics and never using the rainbow balloon because babies can't figure that one out. Almost no level requires you to pop every balloon, and you can typically win with plenty of darts to spare. There's a lot of auto levels or stuff shaped like kids probably would like, and it all goes by pretty painlessly. I haven't tried to actually beat any in a while, but I figured I might as well here. And the stupid boomerang on this last level did piss me off a bit, but otherwise it was a very short and sweet experience. I feel like calling it Junior is a little patronizing to kids, but it is a great idea, as most Bloon games have had tons of BS levels. I didn't hate it, let's say D tier. What, you think Bloons is too easy? You're looking for a real challenge? You're bored and just so happen to live in a mental asylum? Oh boy, do we have the game for you. What's the opposite of Bloons Junior? Bloons Insanity. I definitely wouldn't think it would be hard, but I'll prove my skill by beating the whole thing. But it was like getting an essay report on the first day of school, dude. They don't give you a break. You gotta get the perfect first shot and line up for the second, and the amount of times I failed that is kinda sad. The second level requires 4 perfect shots back to back, even though your dart can very clearly hit a bomb and not pop it time and time again. I was able to get 3 in a row and missed the 4 so many times, but finally I got them. And the remaining 4 are easy straight shots. The third level is my favorite so far, and it felt like a puzzle you just had to line up right and it would be solved. Still took a few minutes, but not bad. And now I'm completely stuck on level 4. I know now you need to shoot 2 exactly the same shots in a row to hit every single bouncy block and pop the rainbow balloon twice. But even getting 1 shot to hit that rainbow balloon is close to impossible. Until I did it, cause I'm a god! It took a while for me to understand the next level, but it was actually very easy. I actually really like the next one. You have to be super quick and it doesn't have any shots that are all too difficult. I am, for real this time, stuck on 7, as it takes actual skill, not just lining up the perfect shot. Precision, timing, and skill for 5 shots back to back is too much. I've gotten a little better, but I don't want to be here all night because it's not worth it. Go try this game and see if you can get farther than me. I appreciate a challenge. I think I'll give it a D tier as well. Player packs are officially over. Mobile gaming is in its prime during late 2009, and we just got our next tower defense game, Bloons TD 4. There is a crazy amount of things to talk about, but the most obvious is definitely going to be the new art style. The first game in the series to attempt a graphical upgrade. It reminds me so much of other classic Flash games like Learn to Fly or Duck Life, with the monkey's shiny little heads. I thought I would dislike it, but honestly it looks fine. Makes me feel nostalgic and I never even played this. And what's happening to my ears? They're hearing something? Music? I know all of you have had the pleasure of listening to some bangers this whole time. Meanwhile, I've been sitting in silence while the sounds of balloon popping have slowly started to drive me insane. I eventually did mute the music because it gets to be enough after hours of this game, but it's nice to have for the background of this video for sure. And you can finally fast forward now. With the attention span of our society today, which in case you didn't know, we live in a society, fast forwarding feels like a must and makes my time spent playing this game cut in half. Alright, time to get into it. My friend said this is his favorite Bloons game of all time, so let's see if he's right. New maps, same deal as last time, but they're great here too. I really enjoyed the first level and the DNA shaped one. The concept of balloons spinning around multiple times on tracks like the lollipop one was a cool idea too. I'm starting to love trying out each new track in these games. For the first time, you aren't given every item to try out from the get-go. Now you've got to earn it. With each level up, you either earn a new tower or upgrade. I think having an XP system makes a ton of sense. It really incentivizes you to play longer. For example, when you beat a level, there's an actual reason to do free play. You can level up very fast since there's such an insane amount of balloons coming at you. The game warns you it'll probably lower the frame rate, there's so much on screen. Anyways, you of course start with the Dart Monkey. Each character has a single line of upgrades this time, with the third and fourth ability usually being important to get to. The Dart Monkey becomes the Spike-a-Pult now, which makes a ton of sense. At rank 7 you unlock the Mortar Tower, which is a fun idea. You can place it anywhere and have it aim in a different spot. That way, if there's not enough room, you can still deal damage in a crowded area. Then there's the Glue Gunner, one of my personal favorites. I never really took the time to place monkey glue in the other games, and now I never will. This monkey automatically slows down balloons, and after upgrading it to corrosive shots, it'll even damage those balloons over time. The Monkey Ace is next, another monkey that won't take up any space. It flies in a figure 8 pattern, shooting darts and dropping pineapples after upgrading. I have a hard time telling if this one's worth it. Sometimes it has some really clutch pineapple placements, but it's random, so it could be completely useless too. They've added water to a handful of levels here, so if nautical nonsense be something you wish, then deploy the Monkey Buccaneer. It looks really cool at its highest levels, but I still don't really see the point of water in this game. They kinda just force you to use it on some levels considering nothing else can be placed in water. The Monkey Apprentice has a series of spells it can learn, including a super expensive one that apparently blows balloons away from the exit. I never really tried this one that much, it didn't really seem that helpful. But of course, the most helpful new tower of them all is the Banana Farm. How would you like free money? How would you like to use that free money to buy more free money, and then more free money, and suddenly the screen is filled with Banana Republics and I can buy anything I want at all times? I can't imagine the monkey farm will be this easy to exploit in later games. Like, yeah, it's expensive, but once you start getting them out there, there's really no stopping you. Lastly, you start with two pretty cool new towers. They're apparently added later in the game's life, which is why they're unlocked right away when you start the game. The Dartling gun is hard like a weaker Super Monkey, except you get to control its aiming. In the later rounds it starts to feel pretty useless, but getting one early on can be a pretty big help. You can hit balloons from anywhere on screen. And lastly, there's the Spike Factory. Placing some of these at the end of the stage lets you build up some big piles of spikes that can really save your life. Place a couple of glue liners up front to slow down the balloons and place even more spikes before they can get there. You can also choose to be a Spike Factory yourself and spam them at the end. Still a pretty crucial aspect of winning this game. Super Monkey Storm has a cooldown now, which is fair I guess. No more cheesing for me. I won't go over every upgrade in this game, but it is fun trying them all out and seeing the way each tower changes visually. Those purple Super Monkeys are really fun designs. The Moab Mauler upgrade is another great one. A team of fully leveled up Monkey Aces is OP, and who doesn't love having a Jedi Monkey? But obviously the Mother Ball upgrades is the Sun God, Super Monkey's final form. I feel like the Sun God is pretty iconic today, but discovering it here after playing for hours and getting a level 30 was really exciting. It just eviscerates every balloon in its path, and a whole group of them creates a nearly unstoppable army. So awesome. There's only a couple new balloons this time as well. The camo balloons are invisible to most monkeys, but as long as something hits them, they still pop. Road spikes, explosions, all that can make this gimmick completely pointless. The zebra balloon is quite simply a combination of the black and white ones. Fun idea. And of course, the newest, biggest balloon yet, the Brutal Floating Behemoth, or BFB for short. This balloon's trying to features a hate symbol on it. I don't even feel bad for popping this one. It can be a little scary to have 4 mobs come out of this thing when destroyed, but that deep in a level, you're usually equipped to handle these things. There's a sandbox mode that really helped from a recording sake, and an endless mode if you're into that sort of thing. Lastly, they added challenges, something they definitely should have tried a long time ago. I love having super specific win conditions. Only being allowed to place dart monkeys or spike factories is awesome. I really hope they have more like this in the next games. Stuff like winning the hardest level without losing a single life though, that just sounds like a torture simulator. The last challenge with $50,000 against 50 mobs is a fun puzzle, one I'm not smart enough to solve. I definitely didn't look up the answer or anything. Well, that just about covers it, I think. I just can't shake the feeling after forgetting something. Does anyone else get the feeling that someone's trying to take their money? And why do I still have 0 gold coins at the top of my screen? Can you believe it? Ninja Kiwi is already asking children to get out their wallets. And trust me guys, this game is just the tip of the iceberg. 7 new maps, 8 new upgrades, pay to win options, you name it, they've got it. None of these upgrades are particularly that special, except of course, double cash. Yeah, just always have and earn 2 times more cash. That's not broken in any way. I think I'm mostly sad about the new levels though. Thankfully this game had plenty of content for free-to-play players, so that's good at least. While this did take a while to cover, it's really not that different from the last game. Other than the XP system and art style, it feels like an update to Bloons TD 3 still. The problem is I really like Bloons TD 3, and I think it'd be hard for me to say I enjoyed this one more. The things they added are cool, but kinda oversaturate the experience a little bit. Which is kinda crazy to say when you look at TD 5 or 6, but that's how I feel. It is still very good. It'll be an A tier too. So I see a lot of lists separate Bloons TD 4 and the expansion version of the game. Some people put it lower than the main game, so I figured I should probably rank it separately too. I sort of expected to include everything from the last game, but it actually is just the expansion. 4 new tracks here representing each level of difficulty. I thought the maps had really fun designs, the first one using the curvy shape, the second being more classic and straight, the extra one is just this Mobius triangle, and of course the standout, the Sun God Temple. It may not seem any more special than the others if it wasn't for this little Easter egg. Once you have $30,000 and 40 towers, the game allows you to make an offering. Seems more like a sacrifice to me, but sure, why not? Those monkeys gave their lives for this country, and in return we get the strongest single tower in Bloons history. The temple has come to life, doing most of the work for us from here on out. You can kinda stop playing at this point, or start rebuilding your banana farms if you plan to keep going. Because this is very strong, but not an instant win. It's a really fun Easter egg, and something I would never have known about if I wasn't doing research here. If we are counting this as a separate game, then I definitely understand the idea of it going lower. There's a few more tracks to the base game, and that's literally it. Fun stuff for sure, but deserving of a B tier, I'd say. Okay, just to be totally thorough here, there was a mobile port of the game with even more new stuff. The game looks a little different too. Nothing crazy, but notably different for sure. New tracks of course, a few new costumes, and... wait, is this for real? I don't know how I've gotten to use that audio twice in this series, especially in the monkey game. I honestly didn't know other animals even existed in Bloons. Anyways, I'm not also ranking this version, I didn't play it, and from what I've heard it's really not that different. Now we can finally move on. After we talk about the DSi version of course. Guys, I want to get into the festive spirit so bad. Bloons Festive Fun is a mobile port of Bloons levels but Christmas themed. It only existed for 1 month and was wiped forever, and although it's been found, I can't freaking play it. I don't have a jailbroken iPod. Then again, am I really missing out? I've played quite a few Bloons levels now. Is playing as a reindeer instead of Pac-Man really gonna help? There were 81 levels though, put into an advent calendar, so that's cool. I'm not gonna say F because I haven't played it, but realistically I shouldn't go higher than D tier. I also want to note that they released a game called Bloons on the Wii, PlayStation, and DS around this time. These games were made by other studios, had completely unique levels, and all received pretty poor reviews. So not a terrible thing that I can't play any of them. But I'd love to hear if you ever own one of these versions of the game. It's time for the next Bloons spin-off. The Super Monkey has become a classic staple of the series now, so why not? Welcome to Bloons Super Monkey. I'm sure you've seen tons of these arcade-style, vertical scrolling shooter games before. They've once again found another game genre that can include popping balloons in some nature. Your goal is to pop enough balloons to make it to the next wave, and apparently you lose if you don't? I can't even imagine losing in this game, it was very easy. There's a new currency called Blops for some reason. Anyways, you use these to level up the Super Monkey. From more faster darts to boomerangs and bombs as additional help, and even little plasma tentacles that are really strange looking. This game just has so many weird choices. There's 5 stages with 3 waves each, so it's not too long of a game and you get to see some different environments as you go. I feel like I learned a lot about the world of Bloons here, like there's penguins and polar bears and stuff. There's even a frozen man down there. Then there's power-ups too, you can suddenly just become a sun god sometimes. It started really slow and I was very unimpressed, but when it's at higher speeds and you have to follow a trail of balloons with your mouse, it's honestly pretty great. And when you're trapped by a circle of ceramics, you gotta get closer to the squares of balloons. That's genius. I expected this game to be bad or boring, so I was really pleasantly surprised. B tier. Guys, it finally happened! It took 3 years, but it's finally here. Bloons 2! Although there's already been tons of Bloons sequels by now, this one gets the big old 2 because of its big new changes. The art style, of course, intended to look more bright, modern, and polished, except it somehow looks worse. Why is everything so pixelated? The art style itself is a little less charming, I'd say, but I appreciate the effort. I was optimistic at first, but the more I played, the less I enjoyed it. Let's get into it. There's a whole world map now, so every 12 levels are in a new location. The first world brings all our usual stuff back, as well as some new stuff. There's layers of balloons now, just like in the Tower Defense series. There's a bee balloon that you can guide with your mouse, which led to some pretty crazy levels. It clearly replaces the Pac-Man one. Then World 2 is in the desert with sand blocks that can be broken. Then there's the Snow World with a Monkey Ace balloon. It moves in a straight line across the screen. There's actually a lot more references to the Tower Defense games here. The Camo balloons that disappear for periods of time, the Boomerang balloon now turns you into a Boomerang Monkey, the Sun God Temple is a world here, and of course, Super Monkey is an OP power-up. He just lets you skip a stage if you're sick of it. The coolest addition is the Anti-Gravity balloon, which is pretty self-explanatory. It led to some of the most fun and creative levels here. Since moving balloons are new to this game, there's a lot of levels where you just wait for 20 seconds and attempt to make a perfect shot. So half the time I would use a Super Monkey to skip it. We're getting to the point where almost every game will be released on Flash, Steam, mobile, and more. Unless there's a reason to rank them separately, I won't talk about it. Like Bloons 2 on mobile. Same game, dude. That's why I won't waste your time or my time further than that. So I played every level in this game. I went through all 8 worlds, spent 3 hours of my night in misery, and now I'm here to report back to you. On paper, this feels like the evolution the Bloons series needed, but when you actually play it, the levels are really unfun. There was an occasional puzzle I liked having to figure out, but so much this game relies on timing and doing the same thing over and over forever and ever. The old games are like that too, but this one is slow. It takes forever to do anything, so replaying the same levels in order to beat them is extra frustrating. The last group of levels I just gave up and used the Super Monkey to cheese them all. I earned that. Since I've been playing these games back to back, the feel of this game is clearly different. Maybe it's a new engine, maybe because it was made with mobile gaming in mind, I don't know. I assume this game would be a C tier or maybe even a B tier, but it's going right down where we started with a D tier. Bloons Blast was a Facebook game with so little photo evidence and 0 gameplay videos as far as I've seen, so let's keep this short. Facebook games wanted you to pay to play, so they added a live system, time limit, and a bunch of other daily incentives to get you to play every day and sink all your cash into. You're literally popping balloons with credit cards and stuff in it. It sounds horrible, and I'm glad I can't play it. F tier. Hot Air Bloons received a mobile release, but it's much more than just a port. This thing has a story, worlds, bosses. They made this thing a full game. Sadly, it's the same situation as Festive Fun. It was thought to be lost media for a long time, but thankfully it's been found. Not a lot of great footage out there though. I kinda had to resort to this kid playing on a cracked iPod screen for most of it. The story is definitely the craziest part. There's this monkey princess now that gets stolen by an evil monkey baron. So we hop on our Moab and get going. This genre already feels like it's made for mobile gaming. They're perfect for the platform, so it makes sense to do so. But now there's a destination to reach. You have to survive long enough just to face the boss of each world. While that sounds really awesome, the majority are just trying to dodge attacks, and one is literally just a memory minigame. The final boss is definitely the best one, and you get to save your bride. But then... craziest plot twist of all time, dude. This game is a crazy rabbit hole I'd prefer to keep short and sweet, honestly. It's cool they tried to second attempt to this game, I gotta commend it. C tier. Imagine how happy I was to discover there were more Bloons 2 games. Thankfully, just a Christmas and spring themed level pack. I assume there would have been more, maybe these didn't do too well or they ran out of ideas, who can say. Since I played all the base game, I think you can cut me some slack on these. I'll play about 20 levels or so and rank them from there. Christmas came first, somehow the 3rd Christmas themed Bloons game now, and it's still the same problem. Not one level has a fun idea in mind. They're more focused on making shapes of Christmas themed items and not fun levels. The new mechanics are underutilized too. F tier. A spring level pack makes a bit more sense as it's new and the beet and flower balloons are pretty important new mechanics. I do think the levels ended up being a little better here, but not by much. There were some levels that actually attempted to be levels, but a ton that were just shaped like Easter eggs and flowers. These here. Our next game is a quiz show? Who Wants to Be a Bloonionaire is pretty straightforward. In order to win the Bloonion$, you gotta get all 10 questions right, each one tougher than the last. As I've said many times, I'm a noob to this series, but since I've been actively playing and researching all the games, it was pretty easy. It was all based on tower defense trivia as well, which made the surprise much less surprising. Your reward for beating the game was the first trailer for Bloons TD 5. I have to imagine fans who saw it must have been losing their minds at the time. Even as an outsider, I think this trailer is pretty cool. Before we get to it though, we gotta rank this game. I honestly love little quizzes like this, so it definitely had more fun than anything in F tier. So D it is. 2 weeks later, Bloons TD 5 would release. It's crazy to me that people love this game equally to Bloons TD 6 almost universally. Apparently this game holds up after being completely replaced, and that's very impressive. We are officially reaching the point in these games where there is so much you could talk about that most videos that try end up being 3 hours long. That's not happening for me. I will talk about major additions, go over the usual stuff we've been doing, and rank it from there. I will not be seeing the full extent of the game, and I won't have any knowledge of what updates brought what. This game was updated for 6 years straight, just keep that in mind. Alright, let's get started. I immediately adore the new graphic style. If every game looked exactly like this from now on, I couldn't be happier. It's a great update from the last game with a ton more personality. Even that insanely primitive 3D windmill is so charming. And just the UI, fonts, everything feels perfect. The music is really great too. I've got so much new background music thanks to this video. I just sort of jumped in, ready to try out the newest map. It works the same as before, you start with nothing and unlock monkeys as you go. There's some new ones right out the bat, the sniper who can shoot from anywhere on screen, the ninja who counters camo balloons, and a new water-based sub that can shoot homing attacks or become a support tower, and a ton of towers with slight changes too. Almost every tower has been monkified now. The ice ball straight up became a monkey, and I bet if the tack shooter wasn't iconic at this point, it would have too. The first 10 minutes of this game is insanely overwhelming. You just have pages and pages of upgrades to try with only so much money to spend. The upgrades are sort of a combination of the last 2 games, where there's multiple paths now but sequences to follow, if that makes sense. A character unlocks more upgrades just by popping balloons, which definitely makes more sense than it did in BTT4. You're incentivized to try every tower this way. You can only choose one path to commit to though, so the last 2 upgrades are closed off if you've already chosen a path. Almost every upgrade now has a visual change too, which is a really nice touch. It's obvious what characters have what upgrades thanks to that feature. There's so many upgrade paths, obviously I can't highlight them all. 144 unique upgrades to be exact. That's more than double the last game, which now that I'm saying out loud is kinda obvious. I really like how the Super Monkey can become a Robo Monkey now, the black and white ninjas are really great, and that massive battleship just looks so cool. I really like the Monkey Tower, Glue Monkey, and Spike Factory changes too. It's just really fun to see everything new and upgrade each individual tower. Like the Sun God, it looks crazy now. Activated abilities are sort of new. We saw it with the Super Monkey Storm, but now it's much more common. Banana farms are a little less simple now, you actually have to collect the bananas. It's a smart change, but I can already see this becoming a monotonous task. You can also turn into a monkey bank though, and that's when you know you're rich. The game actually attempts to teach you how to play the game for once too, which is greatly appreciated. That's how I found out about the new balloon types. The heart-shaped balloons regenerate layers over time, camo balloons can come in every color now, and there's a brand new big boy balloon. This green and black, huge zeppelin is called the ZOMG, and I love that very much. When there's a group of these on screen, you can't even see your towers anymore, it's genuinely scary. I had my second round go insanely well, and I basically unlocked every monkey, upgrade, ability, everything. I was ranked 40 already, I'm unlocking new expert tracks and the best upgrades in the game. I have every mode now, I've bought and placed 2 of every monkey in case there's some sort of Noah's Ark situation going on here, and I had just started playing the game. I'm not sure if that's normal, if most people make it to wave 100 this early on, but I definitely felt unstoppable. I had no clue what was happening, I had a list of abilities at the bottom I didn't even know how to use. But anyways, apologies if a lot of the footage you've seen so far is from this one round. There's such an insane amount of tracks in this game. How does 71 levels sound? You could play this game forever if you wanted to. I kind of ended up just trying the ones that looked most fun. There's more special missions, which I was super excited for, except they aren't available in this version. I guess I'll wait till BTD6 to play the new missions then. Apparently this game has co-op. If there's anyone in the comments who wants to play with me sometime, let me know. The only things left are specialty buildings, something I never purchased and truly don't understand, and special agents, another thing I really don't get. All these things are somewhat premium content. You can get them, but with monkey money, a deluxe currency. Special agents can act as brand new towers, an environment type, or a unique ability. What I don't understand is why they exist at all. They're so weird, just random animals? I like that they brought the bear back, but why a meerkat? These just weird me out. I believe Moshes help you get started in rounds, so in expert mode they're a great crutch for you to get some income. I will pretend I fully understand these guys. Now let's wrap up. I played the Flash version of this game, and I know the Steam one has more content, even new towers. I mostly only know that the Bloon Chipper is insanely good, but I'm not going to cover the extra content I haven't seen, and I'm sure they'll appear in the next couple of games anyways. I genuinely just felt like I had more fun playing this game, and to that I really can't explain. I know my brain typically just likes nicer looking games, but I don't even think it's just that. This game is innately fun, and there's no way around that. I know in a previous video of mine I ranked this game as an A tier classic mobile game. I'll just come clean, I did not play this game for that video. I have now played it, I now love it, and I'm here to give it the S tier it truly deserves. Back-to-back tower defense games? You're not making this easy on me, are you? 1 year after release of the last game, we got our first spin-off of the BTD series, Bloons TD Battles. Player versus player is a big change that I'm sure fans have been begging for up until now. While the Flash version does technically still exist, the servers have gone down, so this will be my first game I'll be playing on mobile. Pretty much every game after this as well. Battles builds off of everything we saw in BTD 5, so that's nice. All the towers from the deluxe version are here, including the 3 I've yet to cover. There's also some new farmers and this guy named Cobra I'll never get to try because you gotta buy them. You can also buy decals for balloons, that's kinda weird. You start out in a tutorial where it teaches you the rules of the game. You can only choose 3 towers in each round, so you have to be careful which ones you choose. You earn a set amount of income every few seconds, and you can either spend that on your towers or balloons to send your enemy. Now, it doesn't just let you send a Moab in round 1, you slowly work your way up to that. I immediately felt like I was going to be bad, and that was correct. My first actual fight went horribly, but it felt a little unfair. I didn't have the option to bring in a spike factory, and while balloons were being popped like it was nothing on their side, I was barely holding on. Well, at least this game lets you report players for being better than you. My second round I tried the club mode, which you typically have to pay $8 for, but it let me try for free. It gives you a set group of towers, which sounded much more balanced. I started out pretty rough. I was really trying to send a lot of balloons while getting my defenses set up at the same time. I nearly lost, but thankfully the other guy was not prepared for lead balloons and I sort of just insta-killed him. In fact, almost every round I won was because they just weren't prepared for lead balloons. I've heard legends that you could say anything you freaking want in the chat on Steam. Sadly on mobile there's just some default taunts. I would have loved to talk some smack to other players. I know I went very quickly through this one, but there's a lot I could talk about for it, but since the majority of things are locked behind a price tag or copy over from the last game, I think it's best to just leave this one on the shorter side. I would love to hear more about it in the comments though. What are your favorite memories from this one? I don't think this game is for me. I know most players I'm fighting have played longer, so they have better towers, and that just makes me lose every round. Player versus player battles for balloons is a great idea, and I definitely think I could get into this game. It's just so hard to as a newcomer. It's funny sending Moabs and BFBs to players and watching them try to beat them, but that's really all I got out of this one. I know there's a much more recent sequel to this game that people like better, so I don't feel too bad giving this one a B tier. I actually can't believe they made a sequel to Bloons Super Monkey. The game looks really good. The environments especially are really well done. When I started playing, I decided just to check the upgrades tab and was immediately overwhelmed. There is way too much on my screen right now. You can individually equip a different left arm, right arm, and core attack with your different upgrades. There are so many upgrades to choose from, most being references to the tower defense games. Except the plasma tentacle, which is actually really good now. I kind of figured out early on that this arm and the bomb cannon were the best, so I never really strayed from that combo. Most balloons are clumped tightly together, and you just burn through groups with these arms. The power-ups are very cool. You get to wipe out the whole screen and have a badass design for 10 seconds or so. It is always fun when you get one. Every balloon type from the tower defense series is here now, from lead balloons to ceramics and even Moabs. There's a bunch of unique stuff too. Glass balloons, shielded balloons, mini Moabs, but you can't talk about this game without covering the bosses. It's definitely the coolest thing here. The first boss is a Moab, which is funny because later on they just show up as normal enemies and you destroy them in 2 seconds. Then in the desert world, there's a lot of themed clumps of balloons, and the logical next boss is the BFB. The third world is underwater themed, complete with jellyfish, mollusks, and plenty of other undersea life for the superhero to slaughter. I really love this world. The final boss was the giant squid, which should have been cool, but this little circle of balloons kept looping me in circles the whole time, and I was really relieved to finally beat it. The final world is Mount Magma, themed with spiders and robots? Sorta weird, but alright. The big bad boss is this giant lead balloon, and with my specific setup, it was a cakewalk. Honestly, kind of a lackluster finale. I didn't even realize I'd beaten the game. The worst part about this game is they expect you to fail over and over, forcing you to replay old stages to grind for new upgrades. With such a short game, that's kinda messed up. Or, of course, pay real money to instantly get the best ones. So I guess I'm grinding then. It's really repetitive, and makes me question if this game can even be considered good because of it. That really sucks, because they put so much into this despite only having 20 levels. With all this unnecessary padding, who's even gonna make it to the end? Which is what I had planned to say before I actually did make it to the end, and I'm really glad I did. If this wasn't for a video, I would have put a long time before that. On World 2, you really had to grind to get more powerful, and it felt really frustrating. But thankfully, once you get some decent upgrades, specifically for the Plasma Tentacle, you can beat most levels right away. And going back to old levels and wiping everything out in seconds feels so satisfying. One of my favorite things to do is blop hunting. Blops are the currency of the game, in case you've forgotten. You can actually collect every unique blop in each level, and red ones indicate blops you have yet to collect. Blue ones still count, but it's kind of fun to try to get 100% in every level, especially after you become so powerful. I ended up really enjoying this one in the end. It took a complete 180. I do wish the ending was more exciting though. Because of its flaws, it can't be at the top. Let's give it a B tier. While Bloons Monkey City might sound like a random spin-off, it's actually our next tower defense game. The main gimmick here is this town building focus. I've heard this game be compared to Clash of Clans, which is not a good sign because I hate Clash of Clans. But let's not be quick to judge. What does this game have to offer? Basically, you start from scratch, with a few dart monkeys to your name. Fighting areas around your city will unlock them. You can beat easy levels no problem, so have a quick little look-see at all the battles I did with just 2 or 3 tiny monkeys. Fun, right? 15 rounds of only 3 monkeys and only red balloons? Exciting stuff! The idea is to keep expanding your town, fighting harder battles, and buying new buildings to access different towers and upgrades. Here's the problem though. Everything has a timer. You wait for buildings to get built, you wait for energy to do anything in this game, even buying upgrades requires you to wait. Why? I've given myself a couple of weeks to play through every Bloons game in order, so games like Monkey City can really throw a wrench into things. It's not like Bloons TD 5 where you can unlock every upgrade in a couple of hours. You were meant to play this game over a very long period of time. These games can be very rewarding to work through, but as I'm sure you've guessed, it's sort of impossible for me to achieve. So while talking about the big new addition scene here, I'll be showing footage that isn't my own. The towers are all pretty much the same as the last 2 games, but I can actually talk about one I haven't tried yet, the Monkey Engineer. They're all about making little tools and machines to pop some balloons. The mobile version has even more new ones. The best positive I can say about having to unlock these over a long period of time is that it really feels like these units are yours. You've earned them, you've created them, and you can only use the ones you chose to birth. You are the god of this world. That or you just got a lot of monkey women, a lot of monkey pregnant. There's a new balloon type too, a pretty cool one at that. The Dark Dirigible Titan is the newest, biggest balloon now, but it's camo, black, and crazy fast. These things are deadly and super cool. They add a bunch of bosses, so let's just look at them real quick. Bloonionaire, the slowest balloon in the history of the series, is massive and really awesome looking. Vortex is a similar one and equally as cool. Dread Bloon gets a big drill and kinda looks like a bee, and Blastopopolis is covered in lava and looks pretty nuts. I honestly love seeing the newest, biggest balloons in these games. They're really fun. Just like Clash of Clans, there's PvP stuff too. Your city can be attacked by other players. I would go more in depth on this, but something really funny can be done instead. The game says, please, oh please don't turn off the ability to let others attack you, and then you can just do it anyways and never worry about it ever again. I'm pretty confident the online features of the Flash game don't even work anymore anyways. Seeing people's cities and how massive they can get is really crazy. It's very intimidating when I played for a couple of hours just to get this. Apparently once you get to level 25 or so, you have everything you could ever want and you just capture each tile without any problems. It's still cool to be able to grow your city, but I imagine you'd probably still get bored of it. I would really love to try Bloons Monkey City for real. I've played town building games in the past, and combining that with the tower defense gameplay of Bloons actually seems pretty fun. These last few entries have really started to worry me. So much grinding, so many in-app purchases, and now there's energy systems and waiting times. All these staples of crappy mobile games are tainting this once pure Flash game series. Now, a lot of people are super quick to judge this one. It's either F tier because of everything I just mentioned, or S tier because I spent a lot of time with it and love this genre of games. I wouldn't say I immediately love or hate it though, despite leaning towards the latter. This game is so close to being cool, I really do want to try to keep up with it, but I'm just not sure it'd be worth it. I've been enjoying most of these games, but this one in particular has a really weird feeling to it. Nothing like the fun of the main series. No offense to anyone who loves it, there's a world where I play this game every day until the end of time. Anyways, this might be super controversial, but C tier. Monkey City, Bloons TD 5, and Battles were all updated for the next 5 years, so we won't see a new entry to the tower defense series through that time. Or any series for that matter. Except, of course, a long-awaited return of the series we've been waiting so long for! Okay, I said I like playing Bloons Super Monkey 2, I didn't mean I wanted another one! I really don't understand why this wasn't called Bloons Super Monkey 3, considering it was quite literally a brand new entry and adds so much more content than you'd think. Remember how the Flash version only had 20 levels? They decided to add a few more here. Now we have 100! I'm sorry, but I simply refuse. I like these games, but I don't like them that much. This 3D model of the Super Monkey is just horrible. I don't know why, it just is. Thankfully, you can buy skins in this game and go back to the retro look instead. I really wish this game wasn't on mobile. I really like controlling him with the mouse. Now my stupid fat finger's in the way and I can't see anything. The general gameplay isn't too different. You're still collecting red and blue blobs to upgrade your abilities and popping up balloons to play each level. This Dr. Monkey guy yaps a lot in this game, and I'm pretty sure he was in the last game, but I barely even noticed. That is a good thing. I don't really want a quote-unquote story in this game, especially one they put zero effort into. This game has epic loot! Immediately making this the best game in the series so far. If I don't see loot boxes in a game, I just can't personally get invested. They're too epic! In this game, you actually have to get higher medals, earned by popping as many balloons as you can in each level. I literally got silver on every single level until it forced me to get some gold ones. These levels were pretty easy, so I understand why they did that. It's the only way to force players to replay old levels. I got a perfect round on the first one, which was cool, I guess. I used the exact same loadout as before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what do you know, it was incredible as always. I'm a genius. Since there were only 20 levels before, I figured I'd just treat this one the same way. But the first world has 25 levels, so fine. I played a little into the snow world and called it a day. That means I only got to see a couple of new bosses. First one being this big metal eagle. It looked cool, but it was just nothing. I sat and hit in the same spot for 30 seconds until it just died. Then you straight up fight Onyx from Pokemon and he presents a genuine challenge considering he actually moves. The last fight of World 1 is still a Moab. Once that's beaten, the biggest reveal of all is a second character? Ice Monkey is here and exclusively playable for World 2. That is pretty awesome. I'll definitely talk about the other new character here in a second. Ice Monkey can constantly freeze balloons near him, which is a little helpful and a little annoying. You lose all your upgrades sadly, and like I said before, if it ain't broke, don't freaking fix it! I played up until the next boss, a Robo Yeti. He kinda looks like a gorilla, so it feels a little messed up for Ice Monkey to kill him, but I'll do it anyway. I am definitely curious what the other bosses would have been, but getting to level 32 probably took about 3 hours or so, and now I don't feel so bad. After this fight, it lets you tag team between your two superheroes, but why would I ever tag in the Ice Monkey? The other one got way more leveled up. I don't understand. The last playbook character is called Storm Monkey, with a super cool battle scar. I guess lightning abilities are cool, but he's less interesting to me. Apparently the Dr. Monkey is a secret unlockable character, and he sounds pretty OP, but you only get him after beating the game. That's cool, I suppose. After 3 Super Monkey games, I'm pretty glad to report this was the last one. So far! I really enjoyed the first 2, but they ruined it by putting it on mobile. It feels like such a downgrade in so many ways. They clearly tried making it so much bigger and better, but it's all too much. And the game is so boring, you just play forever and ever and getting bronze medals isn't even a challenge anymore. I like the new characters and bosses and not much more. I started falling asleep trying to play this game, and when that happens, I think it's pretty fair to say C tier. Well, finally we've made it. It feels like this whole video has been leading to the release of Bloons TD 6. This game came out in 2018 and has been regularly updated with content through the present day. It is the ultimate BTD game, so much so that Ninja Kiwi has basically said there will never be a sequel. Except the Adventure Time one, and Battles 2, and probably a couple more, but after that, this is the only tower defense game you'll ever need! All jokes aside, this game is freaking unbelievably huge. I'll play for a few hours, try to see everything I can discover, and almost definitely give it an S tier placement afterwards. But let's go over the big new changes and stuff as per usual. This game is available literally everywhere, and even though it is a paid game, you can definitely find ways to play it thanks to your subscription services. I played on Apple Arcade, but I bet a lot of you could do the Netflix version if you wanted to. It's also pretty dang cheap, and you'll definitely get your money's worth if you do just buy it. The game looks so nice too. I really love the classic styles of the old ones, but I can't deny this polished 3D stylized game turned out really great, and I'd imagine most people agree. When it first came out, the game was very laggy and had a ton of bugs, and a bunch of classic towers like the Dartling Gunner, Mortar, and Engineer were missing. You also can't place road spikes, pineapples, etc. anymore. Not necessarily a bad change, but definitely a big one. I'm sure there are more reasons people hate it too. Changes in art style or just changes in general will always make a portion of the community upset. Ninja Kiwi added these towers eventually and fixed its issues in time as well. Most people find the game to be one of the greatest tower defense games of all time nowadays, so it certainly had a comeback. Upgrading your characters is, once again, entirely different. You have 3 tracks to choose from now, and you can pick from 2. That basically means every tower now has 3 different combinations for their abilities, when before there was only 2. There's also a 5th ultra upgrade for every tower now, rather than just 4. It's the perfect way to move the series forward, I think. You also earn XP for each tower during gameplay and can choose which paths to use it on. It is a little unfortunate that your gameplay gets halted every time you want to unlock a new upgrade though. Part of the fun of this game is just trying every combination and seeing what works, and that's really cool. I doubt I've even seen half the possibilities in this game, but some of the ones I think are cool so far are the Wizard, Ninja, Engineer, and the new Batman Super Monkey. The new tracks in this game might be the best aspect of it. They're so inventive, so exciting. You have to beat a few of the first difficulty to beat the next, and so on. The beginner maps are alright, they look nice at the least. But the intermediate maps were so dang cool. This water park one might be one of my favorites I've seen. The balloons go down the slide! In the covered garden, you can only place and upgrade towers in the open square for each turn. It really messes with your head. On some stages, you even have to pay to remove obstacles, creating more room for more towers. Speaking of, let's move to the new towers, huh? They're split into categories now. All the primary monkeys return from the previous game, and the first new one for me is the Heli Pilot. It's a fun idea, you can move it around as you play, basically having infinite range. The new support class character is the Beast Handler, able to make a bunch of small creatures or a massive one. And finally, the magic category definitely has the most new additions. The Alchemist uses potions focused on effects rather than just dealing damage. The Druid uses thorns to attack, and you can choose between jungle, storm, or wrath powers for them. And lastly, the Mermonkey. I'm glad they added another water-based tower. You can also play them on land if you want to. It can throw tridents, and you choose between a focus on damage, support, or cleanup. Since there are so many upgrade paths, I don't mind there being a fairly short list of new towers. And of course, we can't forget the new Bloons types. Purple Bloons are here, specifically to counter the magic category of monkeys. Our newest, biggest Moab is the Big Airship of Doom, or BAD. It's also purple, but not immune to any kind of attacks, just super strong. Boss Bloons return with new elite versions of each. There's one called Phase that looks super cool, and the Gravelord Lich was actually available for me to fight while working on this video. I love all the boss designs. I honestly wish there were a dozen more of these things. There's this awesome Pinata Moab you can break open for the 6th-year anniversary celebration. You cannot lose, so it was just a fun time. Rather than special agents, we now have heroes, which are a very big addition to the series. They can each be leveled up individually, and they're meant to be your primary tower. That's why you can only have one at a time. If you could bring in as many heroes as you wanted, things would start to get crazy. There's quite a few of these things, so I think I'll just quickly cover each one. Quincy is an archer with a bow and arrow attack. Gwendolyn uses a flamethrower. Striker Jones gets a bazooka and an Omni-Man styled mustache. Aben Greedfoot is like the druid on steroids. All the powers of nature are on his side. Rosalia can be moved to different parts of the stage to attack and different types of weapons to choose from. Captain Churchill is harnessing his inner Newgrounds look, piloting a freaking tank. Benjamin is a support character and hacks computers to make you money, somehow. Pat Fusty is a big dude who punches balloons. Azili is similar to the Alchemist, using voodoo power against the balloons. Adora is like a sun god, striking down balloons in accordance to the scripture. Etienne pilots a drone to attack for him. Sada swipes at balloons while dual-wielding swords. Admiral Brickel controls the sea and commands your water-based towers. Sai uses their mind to destroy balloons. Geraldo is my favorite looking one so far, and apparently sells items and attacks with lightning powers. And finally, Corvus uses the power of Satan and his little spirit companion while looking insanely awesome at the same time. These guys are so fun. I really wish they didn't cost monkey money to try out. I could only get a handful to actually play and record footage of, so I kinda just chose the cheapest and best looking ones. So far, Sada is my favorite. Her abilities are so awesome. Let me know who's best and why. When you get to level 30, you unlock a bunch of skill trees for each class. Just more ways to make this game that much more complex. There are always events, daily missions, online matches, and classic tower defense levels you can play. This game is updated all the time with new maps and events, meaning you never have to even think about any other tower defense game ever again. For the sake of doing as much as I possibly could in such a short span of time, I would basically pick a map I hadn't tried before, grab a new hero, get as many unique towers in as I could, and just try my best. The game has gotten so complex now I have absolutely no clue what the best team-ups are, which upgrade paths are the best, or even what people enjoy about this game most. But I do know after playing the first 5 Bloon games back to back, Bloons TD 6 looks the best, sounds the best, plays the best, and is the best. Each of the remaining games will have to try to compete with this game to see if they can even compare. Of course, I have to give it an S tier. I did actually know the Adventure Time Bloons game, although I did not realize it released 1 month after BTD 6. They definitely should have tried to space these out a bit. Apparently Cartoon Network reached out to Nichikui to make this collaboration happen, and that's pretty cool. I really like Adventure Time, and you can hear how much I like it in my video ranking every Cartoon Network show, I'm super excited to try out this crossover for the first time. For whatever reason, they decided to justify this game with a full story. All the Bloons and monkeys are teleported to the land of Oo, where we meet Finn and Jake and this monkey named Max. They kinda act like everyone knows Max, despite this character being created just now. This game is completely voice acted, making it so much better than it would have been otherwise.
Hey, what's going on?
All the characters you know and love get their original voices too, not just Finn and Jake. When Hot Dog Princess has her original voice actor, you know they went all out. The characters of Adventure Time really got represented here. Not just the main ones you get to have in your team, but even these side characters. Choose Goose is at the store, Ricardio gets a mission, the not at all controversial Lemon Grab does too, and James Baxter is on the loading screen. I love how they incorporated so many so perfectly. The music of this game is so good. It's all based on the best music from the show, like Everything Stays, On a Tropical Island, Why You Eat My Fries, All Gummed Up Inside, and Oh Fiona from the Gender Bent episode. A song sung by Neil Patrick Harris is the background music in a Bloons game. How strange is that? The art style is a clear attempt to combine the 3D look of BTD 6 and the flat 2D cartoony look of Adventure Time, but really fails on all fronts. I would have loved a new 2D game closely resembling Adventure Time, or just using the Bloons one for Adventure Time characters. Not a weird middle ground. I think the characters are the only problem though. All the Adventure Time locations look really nice. What I didn't put together until actually playing this game is that this is straight up an RPG in the Bloons gameplay style featuring Adventure Time characters. I am so mad at myself for never playing this game until now. Through little missions, you go through various locations in Oo to help different characters and occasionally add them to your party. So let's go through them. Finn and Jake are unlocked right away. Finn uses a sword to slash at Bloons in range, and Jake is a bit more tanky, able to pop lead balloons with his shape-shifting fists. You also get Max, a bit of a beefier dart monkey. Then in the Candy Kingdom, you rescue Princess Bubblegum, who uses a weapon very similar to the glue monkeys. From there, you're sort of allowed to go where you want, so of course I had to go recruit the Ice King. He's one of my all-time favorite characters from the show, and as I'm sure you'd expect, he's this game's Ice Monkey. Then we meet Captain Cassie, another character who pretends to be a fan favorite despite having no clue who this thing is. I almost wish this game had no Bloons monkeys, they just seem so boring compared to the Adventure Time ones. But I get why they're here, and I also understand Adventure Time doesn't have a ton of obvious water-based characters to fit this role. I know a certain member of mine will be very excited to hear that Flame Princess earned a playable role. Not an ally, your next main tower. Probably because of her fire abilities, but still awesome to see. And of course, Marceline appears as the last new Adventure Time hero. There's a bunch of costume versions of these characters too, with unique abilities, but most requiring microtransactions to unlock. Since this game is more like an RPG, there's a bigger focus on equipping items and leveling up each individual character. It's probably the biggest aspect I dislike about the game. It just feels like it's overcomplicating something for no reason. It is another way to pack even more Adventure Time references though, so that's cool at least. Especially allies, who can be equipped to other characters but are basically unique towers. I just randomly got this boomerang monkey in a loot box and I can just bring him in whenever I want. In fact, allies are almost more important as they can be mass produced. You only get one Jake the dog, but you can have infinite businessmen if you want to. If I couldn't use Starchy in this game, I would have quit immediately. Sadly, some big Adventure Time characters like Lumpy Space Princess and BMO were given the ally treatment. It's like the assist trophies in Smash, you hate to see it. Thinking about it positively though, at least they got a chance to shine this way. Now back to the negative side, you can only randomly find them in loot boxes or by buying them directly. Lots of ups and downs there, huh? Upgrading characters is mostly the same as always, but there's more of a skill tree this time around. Additionally, putting characters like Finn and Jake near each other unlock unique abilities, like the Jake suit. That's really fun. I am extremely curious what others think of this game. It really changes a lot, and I have to imagine you either really love Adventure Time or really love the Bloons to have to enjoy this one. For people like me who love both though, what an incredible experience this has been. Adventure Time is one of my favorite shows ever, so I was already inclined to love this one. But the style of this game is also my favorite take on the Bloons genre so far. I think they really should make a unique Bloons RPG game, or even try another branded one. It was really fun, it was super faithful to Adventure Time and its characters, and it was one of the better games I've played so far in this video. Still, it feels a little shallow, and its reliance on loot boxes, gambling, and microtransactions put this game at a solid A tier. They finally did it! The prequel to Bloons Pop 3 is real! The day we get Bloons Pop 2 and complete this trilogy is the day I can die in peace. If I'm being honest, I sort of appreciate a break from the tower defense stuff for a second. Bloons technically is a balloon popping franchise, so if anything, this is more mainline than BTD 6. Max returns. I guess he's just the new mascot now. I assumed I knew what a pop game would be about, but I don't think I've ever played a game exactly like this one before. Your monkey sits at the top of the screen and throws, shoots, or launches itself at the balloons below. A lot of returning characters and items return, like boomerang monkeys or cannons. Heroes from BTD 6 return too, so Quincy and Gwendolyn are considered the most powerful. I'd say the coolest part is being able to merge your monkeys to create upgraded versions of them. And that's about all there is to say about this game. I love rebuilding my town after each round. I love participating in the exact same minigame after every single level. I love randomly sending out my monkeys with no rhyme or reason and still never getting close to losing. The way they use each character and their ability from BTD 6 is pretty cool. They did attempt to make this game a little different than your typical game in this genre, but I really can't believe how boring and lifeless it is. They clearly put a lot of work into the character animations and everything, so it's kinda sad to say this game sucks. But it does. It's not frustrating or exhausting to play, it is just so very bland. C tier. Well, I love the first one so much, I can't wait to try Battles 2! Just like the first game, which was based on TDD 5, this one is based on TD 6. Think about all the new things they can now include. Heroes, 3 upgrade paths, and obviously the new Bloons types. Add the updated graphical style and this vastly superior UI, and this game is immediately better than the first Battles game. Seriously, switching between menus to deploy monkeys and send balloons was really clunky, I thought, and I'm really glad that's been fixed. They also kind of remove all pay-to-win aspects. That's great, right? Well, the history of this game's launch is one of legends at this point. Ninja Kiwi attempted to speedrun losing all their fans in making this game. Firstly, they did remove the ability to purchase XP or upgrades outright, but you still have to unlock them. Hearing that just dumbfounds me, dude. So you're saying I'm still going to be at a major disadvantage against everyone I ever fight because I haven't been playing since launch day? Why? I know no one would spend money on your game that way, but they need to make these games with all upgrade paths unlocked. That's my opinion. Anyways, you had to ruthlessly grind to unlock upgrades or pay money for a subscription service to earn more XP. So wait, it is pay to win then. That is quite literally the definition of the term. But if that wasn't enough, the game was so buggy that even if you enjoyed playing it, the game would attempt to make you feel otherwise. Constant crashes, broken monkeys that ruin the fun of PvP tower defense, and so many more that there's entire forums out there covering the bugs when this game released. There were so many issues it took months to fix them all. I'm pretty sure they put out a single hotfix after all this time as well, rather than putting out small fixes over time. Crazy. The fixes pretty much made the game what it should have been on release, but by then most players had given up on it and that was that. But the game is here, and now after minutes of talking about it, let's actually play it. You still gotta grind to unlock characters, but I can use every upgrade. So I was right! Thank you for listening to me, Ninja Kiwi. It's so cool to know that you watch my videos. To be fair, I'm playing on Apple Arcade, so it isn't actually possible for it to be pay to win, as you cannot have microtransactions on the service. Maybe other versions aren't like that, I'm not sure. You do have to purchase tier 5, so there is a little bit of that still going on, but honestly, having access to the first 4 tiers immediately is good enough for me. Great change. Now you can have 4 towers to choose from thanks to your hero. I sort of think the 3-tower thing is still weird, but definitely simplifies these battles down quite a bit. Since I'm just starting, thankfully they pair me up with fellow newbies. It still feels like you can just wait and spawn some Moabs and you catch them with their pants down without fail. Or lead balloons. It is so funny to notice when they have 0 ways to take them out. Genuinely, how common is this for anyone else? Almost every single round I played ended in lead balloons. You can place as many monkeys as you want, if you don't have a cannon you're going to lose. I'm not joking guys, I wouldn't talk about it this much if it didn't happen round after round. I really ought to watch some competitive gameplay of this game, I have to imagine it gets insane. But I'm sure the battles you're watching on screen that I participated in were pretty freaking boring. I do think the game can be a little slow at the stage I'm at, but I actually did end up enjoying it quite a bit. The music is so good at the very least I could jam out while I waited for the rounds to get interesting. I forced myself to play until I ranked up and see if my next challenger would be way out of my league. And yes, they kinda were. I had no defense for camo lead balloons, and I instantly felt like all those other losers right then and there. Let's quit while we're behind. I think people generally agree this game is pretty good now. A rough start for sure, but Ninja Kooie put in the effort to make it a game worthy of the Bloons community. I will always prefer the single player Bloons games to the PvP ones, but I definitely think this game is an improvement to the battles formula in every way. I'll be nice and give it an A tier. I can't believe it, but we've actually made it to the end of this never-ending video. Thankfully, Bloons has attempted one last spin-off, a game that hasn't technically released yet, but is available in beta for players who sign up for it. Of course, that means I cannot play it, so take my ranking here with a grain of salt. It's called Bloons Card Storm, a turn-based deck building game. As someone who has played a ton of Plants vs. Zombies Heroes now, I am very curious how a game like this will be handled for a different franchise. I think it's really cool they're still trying out different genres for the series, especially if they're good. So that's the question then, right? Should Bloons Card Storm even exist? Already comparing this to PvZ Heroes, you get to choose a hero, just like all the games since BTD6. In each round there's a group of balloons coming your way, and you can use cards to pop the balloons, make more balloons for your enemy, and a whole slew of other zany options to complicate the game even further. It does seem like a lot. For example, heroes start with 500 health. All attacks have such precise numbers to them. I would maybe prefer if they change it to 50 health or something and just simplify things down a bit. Get rid of something that does 145 damage and just make it a clean 15, you know? It is interesting that you have control of balloons and towers for once. Whose side are you on? But it definitely helps make this game pretty unique. As you'd expect, the cards have a ton of references to previous games while bringing some new stuff as well. It's really interesting to see how they translate tower defense items into playable cards. Speaking of, the cards themselves all have really awesome art. Some of my favorites are Prince of Darkness, Return to Sender, Shrink, and of course the ZOMG. Wow, that looks nuts. My favorite effect I've seen is Expert Negotiator. You steal an opponent's tower. It reminds me of Adventure Time Card War so much. The actual cards term is an effect that releases bigger and bigger balloons, I think? I honestly didn't realize the name of the game was going to actually happen in-game, but it makes sense that there's still ways of balloons you have to deal with regardless of whether your opponent attacks or not. Just watching gameplay of this game is hard to grasp, I feel, but from what I've seen, I'm really itching to try it for myself. This is my chance to get in on a Bloons game from day one, build up a good deck, and actually get good. It's feeling a little barren currently. I feel like I've only ever seen these 2 backgrounds in every match of the game, and they definitely need a boatload more heroes and cards. I believe there's about 3 heroes and 100 cards at the moment. Their other games have had rough releases, so we can only hope they've learned from their mistakes. Early reviews are saying there are major balancing issues. Some balloons are way too powerful, the banana farm like always is too good and can be played extremely early, and on the other side, Super Monkey is not good enough. All problems that can hopefully be fixed over time. For all I know, this game might release fully before this video is even finished. I encourage you all to go try it for yourself, I know I will. Until then, let's leave the list with one last B tier. As a person who regularly ranks mobile game series, 99.9% of the time the first game in a franchise is always the best. I don't know how, I don't know why, but mobile game series only get worse as you go. Every game in this series starts with an S rank and hardly any more afterwards. But think about your favorite Flash games. Duck Life, Papa Louie, the Run series, and of course, Bloons. It took time to get the best games in the series. Almost nobody's going to say the first one is the best in each instance. But what's even more impressive is how steadily the Bloons series rose the charts. With nearly each entry on the list, the games would get better and better. More content, better graphics, better gameplay, all culminating in games like Bloons TD 6, the definitive tower defense game of the series. not to mention completely shifting game genres from simple balloon popping fun to serious, heavy strategy focused titles. But it's such a fascinating evolution to look at the very first Bloons game to the newest releases in the series. As someone who never got into the Bloons games, it was a little intimidating to make this video, but almost immediately I became more and more excited to try each game. Sure, it's exhausting to play so many tower defense games back to back, but in the context of seeing the series grow and change for each one, it made it really entertaining. I don't think I'll ever be good at these games, but at least I can say I played and ranked every single one. Thank you all so much for watching this massive video project. I've worked really hard over the last month to play every game and edit into an entertaining video. At least, I hope it was entertaining. I want to hear what you think and how you'd rank these games, especially if you grew up playing these games, as I cannot relate in that way. And please like and subscribe, that would be great too. If there's anything more in the Bloons series I should rank, let me know. I've already thought of a few concepts myself I think could be pretty fun. I really wanted to give my members their own monkey sonas at the end here, but I am truly exhausted. Just know you're all my little barrel of monkeys, and I appreciate every last one of you. Thank you so much Leland, Patrick Bayerjean, Bright Streak, Dojo Master, Jasper TV, Keep, Gall Guy, Leland, Jeb the Legend, Cheaper Ying, Test Monkey, Marie, Callum Ford, Sorrow Was Taken, Perskill Benener, Checky, Green Man, Yeah, Mr. Odell, Timur Kurnog, Aaron the Ghoul, Freakish Smile, Lavatane, Bordo de Bordo, Pika Girl for You, Miku, Geminat Lewis, Christa Creations, Eduardo Santiago, MD Switchy, Tarky, Skibbity, OK, Tapood 74, and Cameron. I never really stopped to question if all those balloons I killed were sentient somehow. Are these armies? Is this a war I'm changing the fate of? What is the morality of the Bloons series? I need answers, people. Am I a war veteran, or is this purple heart I'm wearing stolen valor? In order to win the Bloonion dollars, you gotta win all... In order to win the Bloonion dollars, you gotta win all... They're not quite ready to quit pumping out little spin-offs, though. They're not quite ready to quit They're not quite ready to quit